What does it take to change how the entire world sees reality? One man, armed with nothing but chalk and thought, redefined space, time, mass, and energy. He was a scientist, a pacifist, a refugee, and a reluctant icon. He couldn't tie his shoes neatly, but he could rewrite the universe. This is the fascinating, chaotic, and deeply human story of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Ulm, a small town in the German Empire. Contrary to myth, he didn't fail math as a child. But he was slow to speak, and by the standards of the time, considered odd. His teachers found him dreamy, distracted. But Albert was watching the world in a different way. At age 5, he was given a compass. The needle moved, mysteriously. Why? What invisible forces controlled the world? At age 12, he discovered Euclidean geometry and called it his holy little geometry book. The clarity of it, clean, logical, was intoxicating. Einstein wasn't a prodigy in the usual sense. He was curious. And curiosity, as we'll see, would become his superpower. Einstein hated rigid discipline. At school in Munich, the teaching was militaristic. Just memorize, they said. But Albert wanted to ask, why? He eventually dropped out of high school at age 15, restless, angry, but driven. A year later, he applied to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. He failed the entrance exam, except for math and physics. He was eventually accepted, graduated, and got a teaching diploma. But here's where life didn't go according to plan. Einstein couldn't find a job. No university wanted him. He was stuck. In 1902, Einstein took a job at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave him time to think, and oh, did he think. By day, he reviewed inventions. By night, he scribbled equations on scraps of paper, pondering time, light, motion, and space. Then, in 1905, at age 26, he dropped a scientific bombshell. Actually, 4 of them. Historians call it his annus mirabilis, his miracle year. In just 12 months, Einstein published a paper proving the existence of atoms through Brownian motion, a paper explaining the photoelectric effect, which would later earn him the Nobel Prize, a new understanding of special relativity, showing that time and space were not fixed, and, oh yeah, the most famous equation in human history. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. This idea would one day lead to nuclear energy and nuclear weapons. But Einstein didn't do this in a lab. No white coat. No experiment. He did it all in his mind. By 1910, Einstein was becoming famous, but fame didn't mean peace. His first marriage, to Mileva Marić, a brilliant Serbian physicist, was already strained. They had 2 sons, and possibly a daughter who mysteriously vanished from historical records. Einstein was passionate about ideas, but distant in relationships. He worked constantly, sometimes neglecting his family. Eventually, he and Mileva separated. He later married his cousin, Elsa, a relationship that historians still debate. Einstein could write equations that described the universe, but when it came to emotions, things were messier. In 1915, Einstein published his general theory of relativity, a revolutionary upgrade of his earlier work. Gravity wasn't a force, he said. It was the curvature of spacetime. Massive objects bend the very fabric of reality, and other objects follow that curve. It was radical, abstract, almost poetic. And in 1919, during a solar eclipse, British astronomer Arthur Eddington observed stars appearing to shift, just as Einstein predicted. The headline the next day? Einstein beats Newton. Just like that, Einstein became a global celebrity. Einstein's fame grew. But so did his unease with Germany's rising nationalism. He was Jewish, pacifist, progressive. When Hitler rose to power, Einstein fled, his home ransacked, his name on Nazi hit lists. He settled in the United States, at Princeton, and never returned to Europe. From then on, he was more than a physicist. He became a symbol of science, of conscience, and of exile. In 1939, terrified by reports that Germany might build an atomic bomb, Einstein signed a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt urging the U.S. to begin nuclear research. That letter helped start the Manhattan Project. But Einstein himself did not work on the bomb, and later regretted the role he played. He became a vocal opponent of nuclear weapons, calling them a grave danger to humanity. He campaigned for peace, civil rights, and international cooperation until the end of his life. Einstein's public image, wild hair, playful smile, quirky genius, hides the depth of the man. He was warm but distant, funny but lonely, outspoken yet deeply private. He loved music, often saying that if he weren't a scientist, he'd have been a violinist. He could be stubborn. He rejected quantum mechanics' randomness with the famous quote, "God does not play dice with the universe." But science kept evolving, even as Einstein became more of a philosopher than a pioneer. He redefined time and space, but could never quite solve the equation of the human heart. Albert Einstein wasn't just a genius. He was also a man of deep emotion, tangled relationships, and often controversial love decisions. His private life was anything but simple. Let's take a closer look at the romantic life of Albert Einstein, from young love to failed marriages, and the letters that shocked the world. In the late 1890s, at the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich, Einstein met Mileva Maric, a brilliant Serbian physics student. At the time, female scientists were rare, and Mileva was as sharp as she was determined. Their bond was intellectual, passionate, and rebellious. They discussed science, read papers together, and even dreamed of publishing as a pair, Einstein-Meriti. They had a daughter out of wedlock, Lieserl, whose fate remains a mystery. Some historians believe she died young, others say she was given up for adoption. In 1903, Einstein married Mileva. They had 2 sons, Hans Albert and Eduard. But the marriage deteriorated quickly. Einstein grew distant, emotionally detached. He spent more time on equations than family. Their marriage became cold, mechanical. By 1914, Einstein proposed a shocking contract for Mileva to remain in the household. It included terms like, "You will stop talking to me if I request it. You will not expect affection from me." Heartbroken and humiliated, Mileva left him and moved to Zurich with the children. In 1919, Einstein married his cousin Elsa Lowenthal, just months after finalizing his divorce. Elsa was kind, loyal, and nurturing. She managed Einstein's public life and health, especially during his rise to global fame. But even in this marriage, Einstein's romantic attention wandered. Einstein had multiple affairs, even while married to Elsa. Letters later revealed flirtations and romantic entanglements with at least 6 other women, including a Russian spy named Margarita Konenkova, his secretary, Betty Newman, a young woman named Estella, among others. He often justified his infidelity by saying he needed emotional freedom. In one letter, he wrote, "One should do what one enjoys and what one can stand." This candid, and controversial, view of love made Einstein's personal life as complicated as his theoretical physics. Despite the messiness, Einstein was capable of love, especially for his sons, even if he struggled to express it. His younger son Eduard suffered from schizophrenia, and Einstein carried the guilt of being absent. In letters, he showed moments of tenderness and regret. Perhaps Einstein's deepest, most consistent love was not romantic, but intellectual. He found beauty in ideas. His letters overflow with poetic musings on music, nature, and thought itself. Einstein wasn't a saint. He was brilliant, flawed, curious, and deeply human. He sought truth in the universe, and maybe stumbled through truth in relationships. Like light itself, Einstein's love life was complex. Bending around obstacles. Sometimes refracted. Occasionally radiant. Albert Einstein died in 1955, at age 76. His brain was literally removed and preserved by the pathologist, sparking decades of ethical and scientific debate. But his true legacy isn't in brain tissue. It's in GPS satellites that correct for relativity, solar panels that rely on the photoelectric effect, nuclear energy, and every classroom where a student learns E equals mx squared. He once said, "Try not to become a man of success, but rather a man of value." Einstein wasn't just successful. He was valuable to science, to humanity, to hope. Einstein once said, The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. And that's what he gave us, the courage to wonder, to imagine, to question everything. Milky Way. What do you think was Einstein's greatest idea? Speech balloon. Was he a genius, or something even more? Pushpin. And which legendary thinker should we cover next? Down finger. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Movie camera. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more timeless stories, only on Behind the Name.